So I said, Tinker, Tenor, Doctor, I barely know her. Anyway, welcome to this week, the final episode before we take a sabbatical here at Dramatis Personae, the only queer read-out show based on Star Trek on the entire Intertubes. And yes, you just heard me right. We are going to be taking a sabbatical. We want to take some time to reflect over what we've done over the last 18 months, regroup, and decide how we want to move forward. So do keep your eyes open. We will be back in some form or another. But for now, this is going to be it. And we are doing the classic Star Trek Voyager episode, Tinker, Tenor, Doctor, Spy. I don't know, I could probably think, if I tried hard enough, of a better episode to end on, but this is a pretty good one. So I am really looking forward to this. Before we kick off, I want to remind you that we are still collecting for Albert Kennedy Trust, AKT, as they are known now. And you can see, if you look at the video up there, you can see that we're currently on £135, because it's a British charity, of our £150 target. And I just wanted to drop a thank you to Zach and Leah for a donation of £25, and to Sarah Horton for a donation of £10. And just to point out that Zach and Leah are down there. Say hi, Zach and Lita.
Hi, Zach and Lita.
And say hi, Sarah Horton.
Hi, Sarah Horton.
Oh, it's going to be a great episode. I can feel it in my waters. So just to tell you a little bit about who AKT are and why we think they're important. Coming out or being outed as an LGBT plus can lead to young people being made homeless, and 24% of homeless young people in the UK identify as LGBTQ plus. Once homeless, LGBTQ plus young people are more likely to face violence and discrimination than young people who are not. They're more likely to develop substance misuse issues and experience sexual exploitation. This can all take a huge toll on somebody's physical and mental health. 77% of the LGBTQ plus young people we work with, AKT work with, believe coming out at home was the main factor in causing their homelessness. And so it's vital they're supported in an environment that is inclusive and celebrates their identities in order to improve their life outcomes. So that's why we're supporting AKT. In a past life, I have done some work with them. All I can say is good things about them. I know people whose lives have been transformed by them. And so I'm really proud that we're so close to our £150 target. So if you would like to give a donation, every penny counts. I think if you're on YouTube, you can follow a link up there or down there or over there or possibly on the other side. I don't know. You'll find a link, click it. Let me introduce our players this evening. We have an amazing bunch of people who over the last 18 months have turned their hands to characters as diverse as buckets of goo, as 1960s robots. We've had, I think the Borg have turned up at least once, and sometimes we've had to play humans, which has probably been the biggest stretch for all of us. But this week, our players include the ever-lovely Robbie Lawton.
Oh, thanks. I'm Robbie, and I'll be playing your emergency medical hologram this afternoon. Depends where you are.
Okay, this show. And we see the return of JP Rhea for our finale episode. Hey, tell us about who you're playing, JP.
I'm JP Ray. I'll be playing Paris, and I'll also be playing Fox? I don't remember.
Flox.
Yes,
Flox.
thank you.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Dr. Flox.
No, different character altogether. Yeah. Then we have the aforementioned lovely Sarah Horton.
I will be playing Captain Janeway, and I am indeed human. I promise.
Yeah. We did see her without her face projector on earlier, and it looked humanish. So it's good enough for me. We have the intelligent and strong Casey Lowry.
Hello, I will be playing Belana Torres, and I am definitely not human.
That's what a human would say, right? Then we have the beautiful Cheryl.
Hello, I'll be playing Chakotay.
Yeah, Fantastic. I am playing the Overlooker of the Hierarchy, so that's something to look forward to. Then we have the generous Lita Chrisman.
Well, that was delightful. Thank you. Actually, I think because of casting shifties, I am actually playing Phlox, as well as the voice of the computer, and the lovely JP is filling in as Devro, also of the Hierarchy.
You are correct.
We work together and stuff. It's cool.
We had to do some last minute recasting. It's always this fun behind the scenes moment there that you got. We have one of my fellow countrymen. We have Steffi.
We are not human, we are Borg. For today, I will be playing 7 of 9 and also the voice of the Borg.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I think that's what comes with coming from Essex, personally, but there you go. Then we have Randall C. Brown, the daddy of the group.
Hi, I am playing Harry Kim. I would recommend not typing that into Google search. Just a little bit of a warning. Yeah.
So not safe for work. Is that what you're subtly hinting there?
That is what I am.
Okay, right. Well, if you go to no, probably don't do that on Facebook either. That's probably one too far even for us. I missed out Ben Church. I don't know how I managed this, Ben. You're right here on the list. It's just I'm incompetent.
Hello, I am Ben. To the best of my knowledge, I am human, and I will be playing Mr. Neelix, who is not human.
Marvelous. I believe you're actually an X-Man. Is that correct?
No, I'm still a man.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's just you just look like Professor Xavier. And finally, in our regular cast tonight, we have the coolest hair in the channel. We have Maxim Rex.
I'll be playing Tuvok today.
Fantastic. Now, in addition to the cast, of course, we have the person who stitches everything together, who keeps us moving from scene to scene, who sets the stage for us in our mind's eye, and that is the slightly freaked out looking Zach Coates.
Hi, I'm Zach, and I'll be playing the narrator tonight.
I'm glad you're playing the narrator because I built you up a bit there, and that could have gone horribly wrong. I just wanted to make the point that 4 of the cast this evening, so that's Casey Lowry, Sarah Horton, Steffi, and Carl St. Lucy, edited the script so that it was suitable for the show. So a big thank you to those. That's time out of their days as well. So we appreciate that. Also want to mention that Steffi, while she is clearly the Borg, is also the Queen of the Borg and manages to get us into some semblance of order and sort out the casting for every episode. So yeah, Casey, I did introduce you, didn't I? Or did I miss you? I did. Yeah, cool. Right. I think we're ready to go. So I'm going to hand over to Zach for Tinker, Tenor, Doctor, Spy.
Part 1 opens in the mess hall of Voyager.
Somewhere in that totality known as the universe is a galaxy called the Milky Way. Tucked into the corner of that galaxy is a planet named Earth. On that planet is a city called Mantua. Go straight ahead, past the fountain, turn right, then left, then right again. You'll find yourself walking along the water, listening, as a man sings of his beloved's unfaithful heart, and even the fish begin to weep. Quando la donna è mobile. La donna è mobile, capuma al vento, muta d'accento e di pensiero, sempre un'amabile, leggiadro viso, in pianto riso, e menzognero. La donna è mobile, qual piuma al vento, muta d'accento e di pensier, e di pensier.
Tuvok is weeping.
Tuvok?
E dipensia.
Tuvok starts laughing and then falls to his knees.
Tuvok!
Paris goes to help and Tuvok pushes him away. Yeet!
Janeway to security. Get a team to the mess hall right away.
Stand back. He's been seized by the Ponfar. A neurochemical imbalance is driving him to mate. We won't be able to reason with him. Tuvok, I understand. You are a Vulcan man. You here have just gone without for 7 years about. Paris, please find a way to load a hypospray. I will give you the sign. Just aim for his behind. Hormones are raging, synapses are blazing. It's all so very...
Paris gets the emergency medical kit and loads the hypospray. Then he throws the hypospray to the doctor whilst he is holding the note.
Illogical, illogical, illogical.
Oh, bravo!
Bravo! Applause and adoring looks from Janeway. The crew throws flowers and kisses.
Doctor?
We're suddenly in the doctor's office.
Doctor, hello?
The doctor's daydream ends and he returns to his work.
Maybe I'd better run a diagnostic on your hearing subroutines.
My hearing's fine. I was just letting my mind wander, that's all.
If you're not working on anything, you should deactivate yourself. Save us the energy.
Wait a second. I thought I was scheduled to go on the away team.
Well, this planet looks safe on long-range sensors. Any medical problems, and we can just use the transporter. But take a look at those scans and see if there's anything we might have missed.
Lieutenant, I wanted to go on that away team. There's a canyon on the planet that I'd like to investigate.
I've already handed out assignments. Next time. If you'd like, I'll snap a few images for you.
Don't bother.
Suit yourself.
Torres leaves.
I'll just use my imagination.
We're on the bridge, and there's a gaseous object in the view screen. Chakotay enters.
Where did that come from?
Good question. It didn't show up on sensors until a few minutes ago.
T-class nebula, 1,000-kilometer diameter, hydrogen, helium, argon.
Nothing too dramatic.
If you want some drama, take a look at this.
He hands over a pad.
To Captain Catherine Janeway, Starship Voyager, from Emergency Medical Hologram, Starship Voyager. Topic, status of Emergency Medical Hologram, Starship Voyager.
He's filing a formal grievance.
Regarding?
His treatment by the crew. There's also a paragraph about his future on Voyager and a proposal for his advancement.
Failure to acknowledge sentience, rude behavior. What's this? A request to be made captain in the event of a catastrophic emergency? He's serious?
Dead serious. And he wants a formal response for the record.
Protocol allows for Commander Chakotay or myself to address his demands if the captain would prefer.
No, I'll take care of it. I don't want anybody to be uncomfortable on the ship. I guess we should all try to be more considerate of his feelings.
Captain, he does it to himself. He's chief medical officer. Is it our fault that it's not enough for him?
Resume course toward the planet. Chakotay, you have the bridge. I've got a formal response to draft.
Cut to the Overlooker ship. Inside the nebula, a crew of necklace aliens in rubber suits monitor their stations, which show the Starship Voyager.
What category did I assign that vessel?
Unacceptable risk.
Correct. And what was my justification for that decision?
The ship appears in none of our databases. Initial attempts to scan the interior failed.
Then why Are you wasting our resources?
I think I can penetrate the hull using a micro-tunneling sensor.
And observe the interior one molecule at a time? There are other potential targets that must be surveyed.
If I could tap into a data transfer conduit, I'd be able to reach their main computer core. That would tell me all we need to know about their tactical systems, in theory.
We could be detected. They might not like being spied upon.
I think I've been very careful avoiding it. I'll take every precaution, I promise.
An acceptable risk.
I've already transmitted my proposal to the hierarchy. They should be responding momentarily.
Do you have something you would like to say?
No.
The hierarchy cannot be bothered with every ill-conceived notion that you...
The response arrives, interrupting him.
If approved, I'd better get started.
The Overlooker stomps away.
You're too confrontational. He'll report you.
Acceptable risk.
We are on the briefing room of Voyage.
The layer of antonium runs right along the edge of the canyon.
My scans show geological instability within 100 meters of the target location.
I could put the flyer down just outside of that.
I don't know, Tom. That might be a little too far.
The doctor looks under the table to see Torres caressing his leg with her foot.
What's the matter, Neelix? Afraid of a little exercise?
I think we could handle a 100-meter stroll.
I have to agree.
The doctor gets a message on his pad. Dinner tonight? He looks up and Seven winks at him.
Maybe getting there. It's coming back I'm worried about. We'll be loaded down with ore if the ground is unstable.
I suggest limiting the team members to 20 kilograms. Preliminary scans indicate the crust is dense enough to support that weight.
Then Janeway gets up and walks around the table, brushing her hand along the back of the EMH's seat. Seven stiffens.
You might try carrying a transport enhancer to the site.
That's not a bad idea. We'll beam the ore back to the Delta Flyer and we won't have to carry anything.
You know, this mission is starting to look a little more dangerous than we thought. Maybe we do need the doctor to come along. If one of us fell through the crust, there could be injuries.
The doctor gets another text message. Resist.
I require his assistance in astrometrics.
What for?
That's none of your business.
I think it is.
Oh!
Janeway leans over the table by the EMH, holding her back seductively.
What's wrong, Captain?
Oh, it's nothing really. An old academy injury. It flares up every now and then. I've learned to live with it, but maybe you should stay here and have a look. Right there.
Janeway places the doctor's hand on the sacral area of her lower back, and a little bit lower than that. Okay, Torres stands.
Get away from him.
You are dismissed.
Torres leaves in a huff.
Doctor? Doctor?
In the ready room, the doctor is roused from his reverie.
Yes, Captain?
Let's talk about these demands of yours. I've given you a great deal of freedom on this ship.
I'm not disputing that.
But you're not satisfied either.
I should be allowed to participate and advance according to my abilities, just like any other member of this crew.
You should also know your limits.
My program can be expanded indefinitely. I don't have limits.
Maybe, but we all have primary responsibilities. Yours is sickbay.
I'm a computer program. Multiple tasking is second nature to me.
This proposal of yours to be made a, what did you call it?
ECH, Emergency Command Hologram.
In principle, it's an interesting idea. A backup captain in case I'm incapacitated and the command structure breaks down. But expanding your program would take months of work.
The lives of the crew may depend on it someday.
I'm afraid the answer is no, Doctor. However, as part of my formal response, I have recommended that Starfleet assign a team of engineers to consider your proposal. When we get back to Alpha Quadrant, I'll pass it along.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, Doctor.
In Cargo Bay 2, the Doctor walks into a congratulations ECH party. His pad has morphed into a glass of champagne.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce the emergency command hologram.
7 kisses him on the cheek, and Torres takes his other arm. On the Overlooker ship, the party is on the monitor.
I've tried to access their internal sensors, but I couldn't get past the security encryption. So I found something even better. A holographic crewman. I've tapped into his cognitive subroutines. We can now monitor everything he's experiencing.
It's like having an agent on board.
To the ECH.
Captain, this is such an honor, but if you don't mind my saying, hardly a surprise.
A little later.
Allow me to introduce the Doctor. He's a computer program, a sentient piece of holographic technology, and he's Voyager's medical officer.
Voyager?
That's the name of the ship. I've only been observing the Doctor for a matter of hours, and I've already learned more about this vessel than I did in 3 days of sensor sweeps.
Elaborate.
The reason Voyager is not in our database is because they are not from this quadrant. They're lost, alone.
No backup vessel?
Uh-huh.
No one to contact for help?
Precisely. Another few hours of observation, and I will know all we need to know about them. Defenses, weapons, crew complement, everything.
From monitoring one individual? Unlikely.
Actually, it is very likely. The social structure on Voyager is much different than ours.
How so?
This is my observation post. I have a single function, but the Doctor does much more than just practice medicine. He has access to the entire ship, and he seems to be an expert on everything. In fact, the captain just gave him authorization to command the bridge. It was a very exciting moment.
And why aren't you monitoring him now?
The link drops out intermittently, but should be reestablished in a few minutes.
Maintain your surveillance.
In sickbay at Voyager.
This will take care of any potential allergens in the planet's atmosphere. I'll monitor your medical status from the bridge, but I don't anticipate any problems. Since I'm not going, I wonder if you mind snapping a few holo images for me while you're down there.
Gladly.
Tell me something, Mr. Neelix. Do you daydream?
Oh, on Talaxia, we have a saying, the dream dreams the dreamer.
Care to translate?
We like to think that fantasies and daydreams come from someplace else, another land. They slip into our minds and whisper about things we never imagined.
A strange notion.
Do you daydream, Doctor?
Of course not. I'm a computer program. I prefer wide shots, Mr. Neelix. If you're feeling creative, throw in a little ultraviolet.
Will do.
The Doctor jauntily tosses his hypospray and catches it, smiling to himself. Bridge.
Voyager to Delta Flyer, report.
We're approaching the canyon. Whew, what a view.
I'm sure it is.
Put us in a synchronous orbit above their landing coordinates.
Voyager, Mayday.
What's wrong?
We've been hit. I'm taking us down into the canyon.
Harry?
I don't know what happened to him.
I'm picking up a vessel, Captain. It's Borg.
Red alert, on screen, battle stations.
A Borg node pops out of Tuvok's hand.
Captain, you must relieve me of duty at once.
An assimilation virus has penetrated our defenses.
We're becoming drones.
Hard to starboard. Reinforce the shields.
Incoming fire.
Janeway is knocked out. The crew all have Borg nodes appearing on their faces.
Doctor.
Computer, activate the ECH.
Acknowledged.
The Doctor's uniform turns from blue to red shoulders, and 4 pips appear on his collar.
Transferring all systems to your command. You have the bridge.
Indeed. Shields to maximum. Photon torpedoes, full volley. Fire! Computer, report.
Enemy shields are intact.
We are the Borg.
I know very well who you are. Stand down your weapons.
State your designation.
Emergency command hologram at your service.
Designation not recognized.
Not for long.
Doctor.
Tuvok and Chakotay, now partially assimilated, advance on Seven and the Doctor. He grabs a pair of hyposprays and injects Chakotay with one before neck-pinching Tuvok. Seven gazes at him adoringly.
Warning, primary shields are failing.
This is the last time I'm going to ask you. Stand down your weapons. Turn back while you can.
You will be assimilated.
Over my dead program. Computer, activate the photonic cannon.
The photonic cannon is online.
Fire.
The Borg sphere goes kaboom! The Overlookers gasp. Then they lose the signal.
Doctor, can you confirm? The readings, Doctor.
The Doctor returns to reality.
Readings. Yeah, confirm. Of course. The away team's physiologies are within acceptable parameters. All life signs stable.
You're okay to proceed, Tom?
Understood. We'll contact you again when we reach the site.
Back on the Overlooker ship.
Voyager will not be an easy target. It is armed with something called a photonic cannon. I watched them destroy a Borg sphere with a single volley.
There are no reports of Borg in this region.
I saw it with my own eyes.
And did you check for debris?
The ship was annihilated. There was nothing left for the sensors to pick up.
Continue.
Their captain was disabled in the attack. The hologram is now in command. He's an impressive individual, a physician, an engineer, a warrior, and very attractive to the females. We must at all cost try to avoid a direct confrontation with him. I recommend a Type 3 stealth assault.
The Overlooker taps this into a card and then puts it into the computer. It beeps as they await the answer.
The hierarchy approves. Prepare for a stealth assault, Type 3. Scan for Borg. We don't want any last-minute surprises or mistakes.
A corridor on Voyager.
Doctor, can I have a word with you?
I know I let my attention drift a little on the bridge, but I assure you.
Are you kidding? That was incredible. I just wanted to congratulate you.
For what, exactly?
The Borg will have to think twice about attacking Voyager again. Nice work.
Computer, locate Commander Chakotay.
Commander Chakotay is in his quarters.
Something wrong?
End of part 1.
Well, isn't this exciting? It seems there's been some confusion somewhere. I'm sure it will all resolve itself in part 2 in an entirely pragmatic and not at all overly dramatic manner. Let me talk to you for a moment about AKT and some of the work they do. They have just released a report, the LGBTQ plus youth homelessness report, published this year. And it's a piece of research that centres the voices and experiences of LGBT plus young people who have faced any form of homelessness in the last 5 years. The key findings include just 13% of LGBTQ plus young people felt supported by parents or step-parents whilst homeless. 1 in 6, which is 16% of LGBTQ plus young people who were happy to answer, were forced to do sexual acts against their will by family members before they became homeless. And the same number had experienced this with a romantic partner. And I've worked with a few people who've experienced that. Almost 2/3 of LGBTQ plus young people who were happy to answer felt frightened or threatened by their family members before they became homeless. And 1 in 5 experienced this with romantic partners. Half of LGBTQ plus young people who were happy to answer said they feared that expressing their identity to family members would lead to them being evicted. Almost 1 in 10, that's about 7%, said the same about romantic partners. I mean, 2/3 said it was difficult for them to maintain and establish relationships, including friendships. About 1/5 said they felt like they had to have casual sex to find somewhere to stay when they were homeless. And these stats go on. Young LGBT homeless are some of the most vulnerable people in our society. And the things that we can do to support them include supporting charities like AKT. And I believe there are charities in the States. Perhaps we can talk about some of those in the future. We have actually just hit our target of £150, and that's thanks to Casey. Thank you, Casey. You're all so generous. I always feel really bad about this. It's like we're stealing all the Americans' money and pouring it into the British charities, but we appreciate that. We do it in the other direction sometimes as well. But these young people really do need that hand up. Now, just because we've hit 150 doesn't mean that you can't reach out your fingers and click on the link and make a donation. So that would be fantastic. In the meantime, let's take the emergency queer hologram offline for a second and return to the other one. Back to you, Zach, for part 2.
Part 2 begins in engineering.
What were you trying to do?
I've been experimenting with introducing a new function into my program, cognitive projections. Daydreaming. I wanted to be able to daydream.
An inefficient activity.
We all do it now and then, Seven. Why not the doctor?
My thought, exactly.
So what's the problem?
The algorithms are malfunctioning. I'm starting to daydream whether I want to or not.
They say a doctor who operates on himself has a petach for a patient.
I can help him.
I'm sure you can.
The doctor and I are going to sick bay.
Any excuse to be alone with him, A7.
Assimilation is an unpleasant fate.
They each pull one of the doctor's arms.
Is that a threat?
An alarm blares.
This isn't possible. The warp containment field is failing.
Warp core breach in 30 seconds.
Try stabilizing the antimatter flow.
Control linkage is down.
Warning, warp core breach a lot sooner than you think.
We've got to get somebody inside the warp core. Try to eject it manually.
No one could survive the current level of plasma radiation.
The doctor.
Doctor.
This isn't real, is it?
Doc, you're the only one who can help us.
Warning, last chance to be a hero, Doctor. Get going.
Okay, here's the problem. The new algorithms weren't isolated properly. They've branched out into perceptual subroutines. Doc, why don't we take a closer look at the matrix? What are you doing?
I have to eject the core.
What?
Deactivate his program.
No, it will damage his matrix.
Don't try to stop me.
Let's take him to sick bay.
They drag him away from the warp core.
I have to. I have to save the ship. I have to save the ship. I have to save the ship.
In sickbay.
You look lovely tonight. Seven, where shall we go? Oh, that sounds wonderful.
The new algorithms have completely taken over his program.
Ambassador!
So now he's daydreaming constantly?
It's a photonic cannon. I designed it myself.
He seems to be randomly jumping from one to the next.
They have him isolated in the surgical bay. He bumps into the force field.
Oh, pardon me, miss.
I routed his subroutines to holodeck 1 so Harry and Seven could monitor his fantasies.
You think that's appropriate? They're his fantasies, and I promised him we'd show him a little bit more consideration.
It'll give us a better idea of what's going on. Help us fix him.
Mr. Neelix, how thoughtful. You baked me a cake. This won't get you out of your checkup.
Him to sick bay.
Go ahead, Harry.
You might want to have a look at this.
We're on our way.
The doctor blows out the candles on his imaginary cake. In the holodeck on Cargo Bay 2, the doctor is painting his version of a reclining nude Seven.
Keep still, please.
Anything you say, Doctor.
He does the hands very well.
Apparently, he's had a great deal of practice. Look at these.
She indicates the preliminary sketches with a modest lack of detail on the torso.
I see.
The holodeck, bridge.
Computer, activate the emergency command hologram.
This is the part I like.
His uniform changes colors and the pips pop up on the doctor's collar.
Nice touch.
Bring the photonic cannon online.
Photonic cannon.
A weapon of mass destruction. Invented by the Doctor, of course.
Of course.
In many of his fantasies, he takes command and saves the ship.
I see.
Which means that particular algorithm is more easily accessible than the others.
So if we can isolate it, we might be able to stabilize his program.
The holodeck shifts to the mess hall. In the following, real B'Elanna watches as the Doctor fantasizes a daydream version of her.
Why do you torment me like this?
That was never my intention.
It wasn't?
I want you to be happy, B'Elanna.
Without you?
The real Torres is taken aback.
What?
Shush.
I'll always be fond of you. That will never change.
You can't just leave me. I couldn't bear to be alone.
Aren't you forgetting someone? He needs you, B'Elanna, now more than ever.
Tom smiles and waves at them from a table across the room.
Forget him. He's not half the man you are.
We appear to be experiencing some technical problems, so bear with us 2 seconds and we will put you on hold. Are we okay to do? And we are back with your regularly scheduled Dramatis Personae.
Forget him. He's not half the man you are.
Daydream Torres plays with the Doctor's cleft chin as real Torres leaves disgusted.
I've seen enough of this.
All right, let's go back to Sick Bay and try to isolate the algorithm.
Janeway turns to leave, amused. But before she's gone, the holodeck setting changes to Cargo Bay 2, where the Doctor is conversing with a daydream version of her. She turns around to watch.
Congratulations.
Thank you for this opportunity, Captain. All I ever wanted was to live up to my full potential, to hone all my skills, expand my abilities, to help the people I love.
Cut to the Overlooker ship.
What's the status?
I lost the signal again. I don't know what happened.
2 assault vessels are on course to join us. Accurate information is essential.
The more I learn about Voyager, the more I wonder if it's worth the trouble.
Clarify.
Launching an attack against such a heavily armed vessel carries a great risk. And for what? A little antimatter and some dilithium?
Your survey indicated large quantities of both. We've already committed substantial resources to mounting this assault. Were you mistaken?
No, not at all. I'm just sounding a note of caution.
If our boarding party doesn't find Voyager exactly as you described, the hierarchy will be informed.
I understand. There has been no mistake.
Then we'll proceed.
The angry necklace Overlooker walks away.
I've made a terrible mistake.
Oh, terrible.
The Doctor was appearing in a different location every few seconds. It didn't seem possible, so I investigated a little further, and I haven't been monitoring his perceptions. I've been watching his dreams or his imaginings. I'm not sure which, but none of this is real. What am I going to do?
Cut to the Doctor's office on Voyager.
I came to check on your patient.
He's doing just fine, Captain. It took Lieutenant Torres half the night to stabilize my matrix, but I haven't had a single flight of fancy since. I apologize for altering my program without permission.
At least there wasn't any permanent damage.
I'm afraid there was. I've been exposed, humiliated, turned inside out for all the world to see. If I've lost your respect.
That will never happen. Certainly not because we've seen a few random fantasies. We all daydream, Doctor. It helps us imagine other possibilities in life. Just hold off until we've figured out a way for you to do it without damaging yourself, okay?
In the ready room, Janeway is reading the Federation Judicial Code when the doorbell chimes.
Come in.
JIP's status report. Federation law? Thinking about a career change?
In a way. Not for me, though. I've been going over the legal precedents for granting command positions to holograms. There aren't any.
Captain, this ship needs its doctor. He should focus on what he was programmed for, medical care.
I think we've underestimated him because of our own human limitations. His full potential's unknown, Chakotay.
Would you be comfortable handing over your ship to a computer program?
Well, I don't know if I'd take it that far.
You might have to. He probably won't settle for less.
In sickbay, the doctor is checking blood samples when he hears the sounds of the ECH party.
Oh, no.
Daydream, Cargo Bay 2.
Allow me to shake your hand. Congratulations!
The doctor has a medal around his neck.
Doctor, may I please have a word with you?
I don't recall dreaming you up.
You didn't. I'm transmitting a simulation of myself into your program, but I am real.
Doctor to the bridge, I'm daydreaming again. Somebody deactivate me.
Voyager is about to be attacked.
Of course it is, unless the valiant doctor swings into action, right?
Yes, precisely.
A common theme in all my fantasies.
I reactivated your cognitive algorithms. I put you back into this fiction.
7 whispers into the doctor's ear.
I may interpose for you again tonight.
Here.
He gives her his glass of champagne, and she moves on.
All right, why?
It was the only way for me to communicate with you.
I'm listening.
I am a long-range observer on an assault-class vessel. I scan passing ships for technology and raw materials. When I find an acceptable target, we raid it.
You've been spying on us.
More to the point, on you. For several days, I've been using a long-range tunneling sensor to tap into your program. You were supposed to be our eyes and ears on Voyager. Instead, I got this.
My daydreams. You tapped into my daydreams. That's why my algorithms have been destabilizing.
My fault. I'm sorry.
Tell me about this attack.
My ship is less than an hour away. I can help you avoid a confrontation, but you must do exactly what I say.
Why should you want to help us?
You don't understand. The hierarchy does not tolerate mistakes or misinformation. If they learn of my error, I'll lose my livelihood.
Well, that's what you get for being a peeping Tom.
But I also care about what happens to you. I feel like I've gotten to know you over the past few days.
You've been spying on my fantasies, not me. You don't know me at all.
But I do. I know how your mind works, what your hopes are. You created all these possibilities. My species were very different. Our thinking is confined, but I can't help but admire you. I don't want you to be harmed.
Well, then I suppose we should swing into action.
Up to the bridge.
Captain, we're about to be attacked. Alien vessels are approaching.
There's nothing on the sensor stock.
The vessels are cloaked.
How do you know this?
One of the aliens contacted me.
I've detected no transmissions.
He spoke to me in a daydream.
I don't want to hear it. However, I would like to know why you've disobeyed my direct order.
I can prove it to you. The alien told me how to reconfigure our sensors to compensate for their cloaking field.
The doctor hands a pad to Kim. Janeway nods, okay.
He's right. I'm picking up 3 ships out there. Distance 600 million kilometers headed right for us.
On screen, maximum magnification.
The alien won't help us unless we help him.
What if this is all part of their attack? A ruse?
He's already helped us compensate for their cloak. I'm inclined to believe him.
So am I, but I'd just as soon set a course away from here at maximum warp.
That will only delay a confrontation. They have vessels hidden throughout the entire sector.
Did your friend have a plan?
He said they're running what's called a Type 3 stealth assault. They won't decloak until they're right on top of us, at which point they'll fire a warning shot across our bow. Then come the demands for supplies and technology. If we don't comply, they'll destroy us. Fortunately, the alien promised to transmit the resonance frequencies of their phasers.
And in return?
In return, he mistakenly informed his superiors that I was in command of Voyager. To keep himself from being demoted, he wants us to maintain that fiction. When they open the channel, I have to be sitting in the captain's chair. I'm sorry, Captain, but he insisted.
Well, I guess it's time to turn fantasy into reality.
Sickbay.
I'm in over my head. What if I fail?
You sound like I did when the captain put me in charge of the night shift. That chair looked so big I thought I'd sink so far into that nobody would be able to see me.
But you had your academy training to fall back on.
Yeah, well, sounds like you've had plenty of practice.
That wasn't real.
Listen, Doc. The whole reason you wanted to be able to daydream was to test out possibilities, right? Well, consider this a field test.
On the Overlooker ship.
Why isn't there any hull damage from the Borg attack?
They repaired it.
So quickly? Prepare for a Type 4 assault.
Type 4? That would cause a huge drain on our energy core. A waste of resources. Do you really think that's necessary?
What I think doesn't matter. Your long-range surveillance indicated an attack by the Borg. On closer inspection, that appears to be doubtful. Your report on the vessel could be mistaken. I think caution is in order.
They wait for a response from the council.
The hierarchy agrees. Proceed to Type 4.
On the bridge, the newly configured emergency command hologram enters from the turbolift with Kim.
Captain on the bridge.
The doctor tentatively approaches the captain's chair and stops short of sitting down at it.
It won't bite.
What I wouldn't give right now for a whoopee cushion.
A what?
Ancient technology.
The doctor sits in the captain's chair. Her screen beeps and he leaps to his feet, startled before sitting down slowly again.
Captain, we're ready to proceed.
Acknowledged, Commander.
Janeway and Seven are in the astrometrics lab.
The internal comm link is active. No one will be able to hear you but the doctor.
Doctor, are you ready?
No, but do I have a choice?
I'll be with you every step of the way. Just remember, I'm still the captain.
Back to the bridge.
Understood.
I'm receiving a transmission on a secure channel. Audio only.
Must be the doctor's friend. Let's hear what he has to say. Doctor?
Hello? Voyager here. It's me.
Doctor, something terrible has happened. They've ordered a Type 4 assault. Our phaser frequencies will be rotated continuously. I won't be able to help you.
Evasive maneuvers.
3 vessels are decloaking off the port bow.
Whoa.
That didn't feel like a warning shot.
Direct hit. Shields are holding.
They're hailing us.
This is it, Doctor. On screen.
In the Overlooker ship.
See? There he is. Be careful. He's dangerous.
On the bridge.
The hierarchy controls this region of space. Your ship has supplies and technology we require.
Tell him we'll defend ourselves. They won't get what they're after.
We'll defend ourselves. They won't get what they're after.
Huh?
I mean, you won't get what you're after. Not in a million years. Not if I have anything to say about it.
Don't improvise, Doctor.
Sorry?
An exchange of fire would damage both of our ships, but we have support nearby. You are alone. Take your weapons offline and prepare to be...
The view screen abruptly shuts off.
Excuse the interruption, Commander. I've found a potential weakness in their shields, but I'll need time to reconfigure our phasers.
Keep him occupied, Doctor. On screen.
This is my final warning.
Don't rush me.
Take your weapons offline immediately. I won't ask again.
You appear to be suffering from a physio-emotive disorder. You're impatient, quick to anger. Do you have any idea what that does to your vascular pressure? You may want to see a physician.
In astrometrics, Janeway rolls her eyes.
Firing phasers.
Correct hit.
How do you like that, huh? A taste of your own medicine.
Tone it down, Doctor.
Sorry.
Big whoom.
Our phasers are offline.
Prepare to be boarded.
It's time to negotiate, Doctor. Tell...
Tuvok!
The Doctor stands in a heroic pose.
Activate the photonic cannon.
The crew exchanges confused looks.
Tuvok, that was an order.
Activating the photonic cannon, sir.
I'd rather not give the order to fire.
My sensors are showing no activation sequence.
Of course not. The photonic cannon is impervious to sensors.
The Borg couldn't detect it either. That's why they were destroyed.
The Borg, the hierarchy, it's all the same to me. Just another bully who didn't know when to back off.
The transmission ends. On the Overlooker ship, the Overlooker types a note into his pad and submits it to the hierarchy.
The hierarchy suggests retreat.
With Phlox's great sigh of relief, we cut to the bridge.
They're moving away at maximum impulse.
Again, the Doctor approaches the captain's chair reluctantly.
Go ahead, Doctor. You've earned it.
The Doctor sits in the chair and smiles to himself. In the Doctor's office.
7 of 9 to the Doctor.
Go ahead.
I require your assistance in the mess hall.
I'll be right there.
In the mess hall.
Surprise!
Surprise!
The senior officers are in dress uniform, clapping for the Doctor as he enters.
Don't worry, Doc, you're not dreaming.
Captain?
For your imaginative defense of this ship and her crew, I'm awarding you the Starfleet Medal of Commendation. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I've also reconsidered your request. I'm going to authorize a research project to explore your command abilities. You're a natural.
Congratulations, Doctor.
She kisses him on the cheek.
For you.
Noted.
The end.
Oh my goodness, give yourself a round of applause, everybody. I don't know that we hammed that up quite as much as the actual Doctor did. I mean, his performance in this episode is amazing. But you were all awesome. And I take my hat off to you, or at least I would if I was wearing one. Let's take a 2-minute break. Let's go to the credits. Let's remind ourselves of who these awesome actors were, and then we'll come back and we will have a chat about the episode and possibly about the future. And you're back with Dramatis Personae after Tinker, Tenor, Doctor, Spy. An amazing job by our cast, I'm sure you will agree. Should we touch on a couple of the topics very, very quickly? I mean, first of all, I hate to say this, and I say this as a business major, at least these days. Janeway is right. Division of labor is the only way a ship like Voyager can work. And she does need the emergency medical hologram to focus on doing the medical hologrammy things and not running the ship, which is her specialty. Did anybody want to throw anything in on that? I mean, it's just a depressing factor of life, unfortunately. No, nobody else for business.
Said, like, can I get some, extracurricular training to be able to do this, instead of just saying, hi, I would like to suddenly be in charge in an emergency.
Yeah. So actually on a Navy ship, typically everybody is cross-trained. So like ship's clerks will typically be cross-trained to work in the medical bay, for example. So that when the midden hits the windmill, as Terry Pratchett so memorably put it, we're in a position where you don't have people dying whilst people are doing paperwork down the corridor. I mean, it's kind of important. So it makes sense that the medical hologram would be cross-trained in this environment. But I think Janeway's also right. She needs a medical hologram who's a competent medical hologram.
Well, they did the same thing with Paris.
Especially since their entire medical staff consists of the doctor and Paris.
Yeah,
occasionally
exactly.
And Kev, sort of.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, like Paris is a medical assistant now on a Royal Navy ship. Actually, they're pretty damn good. They can treat most things, from broken legs to toothache to what you brought back with you from your last visit to port. So exactly that, Robbie. So yeah, they are pretty good. But I'm not sure I would want Paris dealing with my space herpes or my space gonorrhea. I'm just saying. So another topic that came up was the privacy of the Doctor's fantasies. How did we feel that the crew handled that?
Awful. Not great at all.
So a non-positive vote from the Doctor there. What do you think they could have done differently? So, for example, Robbie, let's say your fantasies are causing you hassle in your everyday life. Do you stand up in front of all your friends and tell them what all your fantasies are? Or do you perhaps have somebody you go talk to in not public?
Yeah, most likely the latter. One would assume that, like, this being a science ship, there's a more sciencey way of figuring out the science issue than just, well, hey, let's see what makes the Doctor horny.
Well, on any other ship, there'd be a counselor, right? And I always assumed that the Doctor is the counselor for most of the things going on. Though I think did they not have a Vulcan counselor at one point, or someone who was trained to do that? I feel like there was an episode. But yeah, that should have been what happened. And I think B'Elanna handled it highly unprofessionally.
She took it all personally, and really should not have.
Well, that's her character. She takes everything personally. But
I just think it would have been a lot more funny if, like, the Doctor had also been an exhibitionist and kind of gotten off on it.
That would have been much more fun.
That's sort of like Voyager voyeur.
Well, I mean, he's sentient, but they keep talking about his algorithms, and as someone who has recently been introduced to the joy of programming, look at his fucking code. Find the newest additions. Look at stuff that's going bloopy when he goes woo.
Well, but
it's not that hard. This is like super science computer. So
they kind of did that finally.
But you have to understand,
his code isn't actually erroring in the sense that there's no exceptions being thrown here. He's fine.
Well, the other thing is, like, I mean, if we assume that, he probably progresses along kind of the same technology that we have around machine learning, like, that's a huge black box for us, right? So we don't actually know, like, it's probable that they don't even totally know all of the data that this character is being fed as well. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's portrayed multiple times in the series. Like they underestimate him, thinking that he's just a program set in stone, but that's not true at all. He constantly has to remind them that that's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an interesting concept that you're going to bring in 4 people to do something that you could have done with 1 person. But I think it was more of like a plot device rather, because they wanted to be able to show all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they wanted to paint me like your French Borg moment where stuff was actually seen.
And that scene with B'Elanna and the doctor in the mess hall, and you get to see Paris like sitting off in the distance, and he like gives this little wave. It's so funny. And the episode.
The fact that like there are 2 science people are also, because there was no getting around somebody being embarrassed, because like the crew members most qualified to deal with the problem are 2 of the people that that he has the most fantasies about. So
yeah,
I guess 7 might be more able to get over it, but
she didn't, because she even made that comment at the end that that was a platonic gesture.
She is
Don't
human
expect
now.
me to pose for you. So, I mean, I don't think she really did get over it. Honestly, like Janeway probably handled it the best, but she never had to see him sexually fantasizing about her. So
Yeah, she missed that scene.
Yeah.
Oh, he totally no, he did totally sexualize her. He put his hand on her ass.
he did, but that was before she didn't see it.
He didn't see it, yeah.
So the whole thing here about it's great that it's a science vessel, right? And it's great that we've got scientists doing this and they're sciencing this problem. But actually, I'm not sure the best therapists are scientists. I'm fairly certain the best therapists are artists.
I was also thinking about that whole scene where like Janeway's the captain. Like it made sense that she would be a part of his diagnostics and to be aware of what was going on with her chief medical officer, and then B'Elanna and Kim is the engineers of the technology. What the hell was 7 doing there? We don't know, but like that was, and the fact that the EMH, who was supposed to be clinical and supposed to be like, how did his personality become so sexualized? Like that was the other thing that I constantly had questions about. I mean, it works really well for us, right? Because we love that stuff, but it doesn't really work for the character and how that happened is, like where did he borrow the idea for creating fantasies and daydreams that were so overtly sexual?
Well,
right?
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, go Carl.
I was just gonna say I very briefly dated an oncologist who insisted on using clinical terms for every part of the anatomy. I mean, he would be like, I want to touch your penis. And so like the idea that the doctor is kind of like more human than this actual person that I dated is just very funny to me.
I mean, for me, it felt a bit like he'd read Freud and thought, oh, wow, all daydreams are about shagging my mom. And
I just wish there had been a line in there about that. I would have explained it, right?
And in the absence of an actual mom, Janeway, 7, B'Elanna, the substitute. Okay, I criticised Janeway earlier. I mean, she gets division of labour, but she also gets that perhaps, just perhaps, the Doctor didn't disobey her orders. And he's come to her with that pad with the instructions on it. And so she very gracefully gives him a moment to prove himself before she drop kicks his holographic ass into holographic brick. Maxim, tell me, as Tuvok, is that what you would have done?
I'm not really sure. I definitely think I think I'm not really sure how Tuvok would have handled it.
I think he would have shut it down. I don't think he would have.
Yeah, I think he would be a lot more likely to just, reboot or something, just try to figure out, as opposed to dealing with the image as a person.
Well, but you also have to see that, like, there's that moment, like, and I don't know that it came through totally in our rendition of it, but like in the actual broadcast episode, like Janeway sees him having this fantasy of her of getting to say to her, like, I just wanted to do what's best for the crew, and then she has kind of this moment of like, oh, I've misunderstood this character the whole time.
Yeah, and I definitely I interpreted it that way when we were doing it. I caught that moment and I thought it was very poignant. And I think Tuvok, if he had caught that and all of that sort of thing, I think it would have definitely affected him. But I also think that from a character standpoint, Tuvok probably would have still approached it as like, EMH is a computer. Let's reboot the computer. Let's see what we can do, as opposed to, this is not quite a computer. There's something else going on here.
Yeah,
like Janeway took it.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know if I agree with that, Max. Though I think that you know, and I you know, without, I don't mean this to, you know, be confrontational, but like I feel like Vulcans in general tend to be more accepting of alternative life forms, and that he probably, of all the crew members, probably looks at the Doctor on a whole other level as a photonic life form. Like I feel like if anyone in the crew is more open to that from a scientific and a logical point of view, especially when they say I am more than that and have said it multiple times, he would probably be the one who would be like, okay, there's probably something to this. You know, I would have to logically look into it more and explore all the options. But I feel like he would be like, he probably would say, let me see the pad, and then do the exact same thing, but he would not do it quite as diplomatically as Janeway did.
I think it's worth pointing out, though, JP, that the Vulcans are also the people who decided that time travel was impossible.
True. They are a little rigid.
Yeah.
They like to have rules and just stick to those rules no matter what.
That's a very valid point. Yes.
I mean, we all like laws in the universe. They make our lives a hell of a lot easier. Like, I like gravity to mean that way is down. I quite like various other constants that mean I may remain constituted as a human being and don't just turn into a dissipation of atoms across the entire universe. I'm quite fond of these laws. So then people come along and just poo-poo the laws of temporal dynamics. And, well, I mean, it would be disconcerting. And I would be surprised if that society didn't suffer some fairly big shocks shortly thereafter. We're going to come to our big closing question in just a moment. But beforehand, for those of you who don't know, I'm doing a PhD in business studies, and I would really like to talk about the resource-based view and how that applied. No, should we just go on to the question? Yeah, okay. So.
Go ahead.
A bunch of us were like, go, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, please. Like, I mean, I don't give us a full dissertation presentation.
No, okay, I'll do the short version. Now I've actually got to come up with something. So also, thanks for that, Carl.
Oh, it's bluff.
Okay.
That being interesting.
So the resource-based view is the idea that firms, organizations are a bundle of organizations, and that those, of resources, those resources, which includes humans, I don't really like talking about humans as resources, but those resources are unique to every single firm, right? And it's the different combinations of resources that create products that people want to buy in a market. That's the idea. And the hierarchy is all about, oh, resources this, resources that, resources the other. And it felt like it was a really sort of, well, hierarchical, ironically, but really sort of capitalist hierarchy process going on. And it was, I might use that video when I'm teaching, is what I'm saying, I guess, because there's this moment where everything just comes down to resources. And it's like,
I think what's interesting to me about Phlox and his position in the hierarchy is that, like, he's very clearly, his grasp of the world is very clearly counter to his entire culture, right? Like, and he even says that, like, it's fascinating to me that you know, here's a culture in which no one can make any decisions without running them by this kind of supercomputer that makes all the decisions for them. And here you have a person who's self-aware enough to say to someone on the outside, like, we're very limited in our worldview, and I really I value about you that you're able to be creative, and that the person that they're talking to is a fucking hologram. I just think that's fascinating.
And you're right. And interestingly, in business theory, resource-based view has evolved now into dynamic capabilities, the idea of which is actually an organization is most likely to survive in a situation because it's able to change the configuration of its resources in order to match the changing environment around it. And actually, we see that moment of a dynamic capability being formed in Phlox, who goes, oh, this ain't what we think it is. I need to reorganize my resources in order to match this new threat. And he does that. So, you know, it's a great episode for me to sort of show some theory in action in a completely unrelated environment. So they don't have to worry about what type of resource it is and how they're doing it, which is why I like to use Star Trek. Let's go to the big question. And I'm going to start up there, and I'm fairly certain Ben doesn't realize that that's him, but there's a subtle hint there for him that this will come to him first. He knows what the question is already, by the way. So the question is, if we were able to peek in on your delusions of grandeur, what would we see?
Well, I've been thinking about that because, like you said, because I did know the question ahead of time. I have had a very long-running fantasy life that I've basically been writing in my head since college about this grand acting career, including ups and downs, and you know, thinking that my career was over, and I'm constantly revising it as I learn more about you know, the business, as little as I still know about it. But it eventually sort of culminates in winning an Oscar for playing Jim Henson in a biopic.
Nice.
Yes, please.
So basically, the subtext there is that you want to fist Kermit. Did I get that right? I don't think I missed anything.
Nailed it.
Okay, cool.
100%.
Okay, cool. Harry Kim, perhaps you would like to tell us about your delusions of grandeur.
I mean, it definitely also has to do with fisting, but
I like to think that about Harry Kim, I have to say.
Man, I don't know. I don't know if there is a running dream of mine. But I know that like I very quickly, like whenever I have any idea, I immediately start daydreaming about like how this will pan. Like if I meet someone and it's like I just barely talked to them, and now it's like, oh well, I'm picturing what if this is the person I end up with, and like years down the line, and it's just like it all gets way ahead of itself, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh wait, no, we haven't even like gone on a date. So
and the awkward thing here is, of course, he's talking about me, and it's fine, man. I've said this before. I don't mind being there in your mind. It's free.
Yeah, but I'd rather not just be in my mind, David.
Yeah, we will prefer that. Cheryl, let me come to you. Tell us about your grandiose delusions.
Yeah, my grandiose delusions revolve around getting discovered for my writing talents, and my plays get picked up, and I end up producing my plays on Broadway, and then they get turned into films, and you know, so kind of a basic kind of thing of most writers probably.
Dream the life, live the dream. That's what I say.
National tour of A Hero's Tale.
Yeah, exactly.
I am looking forward to seeing Cheryl on stage. Cole, you're up next. Come on, tell us about your grandiose delusions.
Oh boy. Well, okay. Well, Cheryl, hold on. Let me highlight myself so that I'm seen. I think that used to be. Wow, I look crazy on the full screen. Oh well.
You look glorious, Carl. You look glorious.
Well, the truth for me, so just for context, so like I'm currently in a moment where like kind of a dinky fag musical that I worked on is now being adapted into a movie, and like now I'm sort of thrust into this business in a way that like I never really expected, and it's even more horrific than I expected it to be in many ways. But at the same time, like I'm all of a sudden kind of considering what it will actually mean to be someone with like a major feature film out there with my name on it, and that's really overwhelming. But I actually, like, for me, like I want to do the things I care about. Like, for me, like, big success on that level has never been a dream for me. I will say that recently, oh boy. So I have a big crush on someone on Twitter, and they know about it, and we've talked about it, but we recently had an exchange where I kind of got very earnest about it, and they revealed that they kind of have the same feelings, but they live in Canada, and it's not really a situation where we can see each other. So, like, I found myself over the last week or so sort of daydreaming a sort of like, has anyone seen that movie, The Weekend? It's a gay film where forget if it's in London or Berlin or whatever, but it's basically like these two men meet at a bar. They have like a very intense weekend together and sort of fall in love, and like then one of them moves to London at the end. And it's very like heartbreaking and bittersweet. Have had that experience with someone, but like I've been thinking, like with this person in particular, I've been dreaming about like what would it mean, like to have that sort of situation, but it's like in space, and it's like the two of us. So that's sort of where my daydreams have taken me, and that's something that I'm thinking of writing about and sort of seeing where it takes me. So
I'd watch it, although the gay romance film that I remember the most is the one where they take a whole bunch of coke, which is cut with laxatives, and it turns into an explosive opening scene. It's fantastic.
Wait, which movie is that?
Do you know, I can't remember, but I have a copy of it downstairs, so I'll tell you later. I'll put it in the show notes, darling. I'll put it in the show notes. It was a serious mainstream release. I'll just be clear, this is not porn we're talking about.
Yikes.
It's glorious. Did you want to switch the camera back, because I'm not actually sure who I should go to next?
Yeah, it's back.
Thank you. The lovely Sarah, tell us about your daydreams and what you
Well, as I said before, when you guys brought up this question, I don't really have delusions of grandeur because I have severe, like, even in my own head, imposter syndrome. So I have more delusions of inadequacy constantly because of my lovely anxiety and everything. So I don't really have delusions of grandeur. When I was a kid, I always did. Like, I always would, think about being famous or think about that. And it's just, they're gone now because it's just, I don't most of the time think I'm good enough for anything. So,
Sarah, let me tell you a quick trick about dealing with imposter syndrome, okay? Right? So instead of thinking I'm an imposter, I shouldn't be here, think I am a master fraudster and I have gotten away with it for this long. Right?
I've seen that suggestion on Facebook a couple times, and I love the idea, but I can't. My brain doesn't work that way. So at this moment, it's just.
Well, look how far your con has taken you so far.
Well,
You've got 4 pips on your collar, woman.
I mean, even Billy Crystal's autobiography is called "Still Fooling 'Em." So.
Sarah, we love you so much. You've brought so much to this show. I know you came in sort of about halfway through, I think, but we've loved having you. Your characters are always on the nose, and I know there's a lot going on in your life, but you're awesome and you're coping super well. And I know it doesn't feel like that right now, but that's just facts, honey. Let's take the focus off of Sarah before she dissolves into the floor of embarrassment. So, Casey. Tell us about your failings. I mean, no, your delusions.
Well, I have a lot of delusions of both grandeur and inadequacy. It's like it's like a roller coaster. It goes up and down. I feel like every time I start doing something new, like a new project, I have a delusion about it becoming a big thing. One thing that that I think about sometimes. Well, so I'm a librarian, and I don't really have any particular desire to be like famous, like at the level of an actor, but I think it would be neat to be famous in the library world. So like maybe work my way up so that I become a director of a library system, and then like have all these innovative programs and like run it really well, and everyone who works there is really happy, and then like be featured in Library Journal and all that shit.
So it's funny you mentioned projects there, Casey. As you know, one of the topics I know a little bit about is project management. But let me tell you, every project is a massive fantasy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know when somebody does that Gantt chart at the start of a project, and you're like, wow, this is how it's going to be delivered. It's going to be amazing. And then like 6 months later, you're on version 47 of the Gantt chart. That's how you know it was a fantasy to start with. Okay, so you're already living the dream by the sounds of it.
Again,
hey Zach,
dream the life, live the dream.
Yeah.
Hey Zach, I mean, you can tell us about your daydreams rather than your delusions.
Well, I don't have a terribly large amount of daydreams or delusions. I think a lot of stuff like that takes more of a paranoia with me. When I'm the most paranoid, I get in the Truman Show zone. Like, I watched that movie when I was extremely young, and sometimes I will believe that like everyone in my life is just acting and doesn't really know, like, and that people, look at me and they're like, oh, there goes that guy that's constantly being observed by everyone and no one's telling him. So that's generally what the form is of my paranoia.
I feel like
Stop.
I feel like I shouldn't mention we're watching you on camera right now. So Robbie, and then JP, you're up after Robbie. So Robbie, do you want to now, like, you have to be honest with us here, Robbie.
Okay. So I think, as most people here know, work for the Episcopal Church, also known as the Anglican Church in certain parts of the world. And in certain services, we wear academic regalia. So if you have like a master's hood, you wear your master's hood, and it's a long story of history. But my delusion is that I'll one day get a doctorate in something, mainly so I have a nicer, fancier hood to wear when I go to church some
And you
night.
can wear the little soft hat that's got the little.
Yeah, exactly.
Love the tam. Love the tam.
Wait, why don't
I want to get
I
it
have...
outside of the US because American academic regalia is standardized and boring.
Where's mine? I have a terminal degree. Where's mine?
I don't know what to tell you.
So, Robbie, as you know, the university that I'm with is actually owned by the Anglican Church, and our Chancellor is the Archbishop of Canterbury.
I'm so sorry.
And my PhD supervisor, oddly enough, was chatting to him about names for the mottos for the business school, and I think one of the ones proposed was "for the good of everyone," or "for the common good," something like that. So
just take the Google one. Don't be evil. You'll be fine.
Yeah, that's worked out really well for Google.
Well, they abandoned it, so it's free. You can take it now, right? So
Max, you're up after JP, just so you can brace yourself. JP.
So I made some notes because I didn't want to forget anything, but I want to be on record that I have no delusions of grandeur. I am confident that when I grow up, I will be a financially independent world traveler and famous explorer. And ideally, in conjunction with that I will have a convincing Victorian British accent as well. That's right. Those are my goals.
Right. I mean, to be fair, I know that the British Library has some recordings of Victorian British accents, so you could actually do that. So that's a thing. It's achievable.
Perfect.
Yeah. Great. I'm a bit worried about this "when you grow up" thing. That doesn't sound fun.
I mean, let's let Peter Pan syndromes are a whole other topic discussion. We'll come back to that.
Okay. Up after Max, we have Lita, but Max, you're up first.
I'm up first. So I had a lot of delusions of grandeur and stuff as a kid. But since I'm enjoying the daydreaming portion, I figure I'd talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoy my work, and I enjoy being able to do stuff like this. I do this show. I've done the show with Lita and Zach and a couple other people here, but it's Lita's show. And at the same time, I'm running my own business, and I've like in my business, I help people. And as that becomes more of a thing that I'm doing, and as it becomes more focused rather than just like whoever walks in the door, I help, that kind of thing. And I start to seek out more clients that are the kind of people that I enjoy working with and that I know a lot of stuff about. It becomes more like a reality, but also like goals kind of thing. I'm hoping to get somebody else like me to work in my office as well, or a physical therapist or something, and be able to expand and have not be up a set of stairs, so that there are people that everyone could walk in and that kind of thing. So it's more realistic-ish, but in a way that I didn't really think. I mean, frankly, a year ago, a little over a year ago, when I was closed and because of the pandemic, I had no idea that this kind of thing was even possible, let alone attainable. And I'm actually like, I've been able to pay myself the past several months, and it just keeps getting better. So more of that. I like more of that. And I love being able to like do stuff like this, acting stuff where it's, not a lot of stress. I don't have to spend weeks on end doing rehearsals or that kind of thing. And it's easy to fit in, and because I've got kids and I've got a business and everything else. So more of this stuff for sure.
I mean, I know you've had a bit of a tough couple of months. Couple of 18 months, 50 years. I mean, ish. You're only 21, but you know what I'm saying. I'm just always impressed by how sort of on top of it you are. And I know some of the challenges in your life, but it's been an absolute joy working with you in this environment. You've brought something fresh and keen, but also it's imminent with you. You're not a fantasist. You're not far off in the future. It's about, okay, what can we do now? And I really like that about you, and I really admire that about you.
Hey, I resemble those remarks.
Lita, lay it on.
Still can't believe that we started off with Fist and Kermit and we've all just been trying to continue.
I feel like we should go back there, to be honest.
Maybe for the wrap up. So this is going to sound kind of, I don't know, it feels weird, but I'm going to try in words because it's been a long week. There's so many people who I know like one-on-one that I've had, like either they've had a huge impact on me, I've had a huge impact on them. But ever since the internet has happened, there's so many people who I've never met who I feel like know me better than anyone in the universe. And just like the goal, like I just finished school. I'm so close to I'm interviewing with multiple places to get a remote position so I can travel. We can travel. Hi. And like there's like a 98.9% chance I'm actually going to meet Max after like 10 fucking years of knowing each other in a couple weeks, because we're vacationing really close to where Max lives. And I'm just like, I'm stupid about that sort of thing. I want to be able to like personally hug every person who I have all this like love in my heart for that I've never actually been able to like one-on-one meet, because it's so huge. And I don't know if that's delusional. It's expensive. And right now a little COVID prohibitive, but just knowing that there's that potential that one of these days I'm actually going to meet all these people who live in my computer box. Yeah, that's my big one.
Pocket friends becoming meet space friends.
Yeah.
And also just got to say here, wait, y'all are coming down here somewhere? I mean, because I'm in the area too.
We'll figure it out. We're going to be in the neighborhood-ish, but like in the mountains. So
yeah, no problem.
It's requiring a lot of finaglies.
It's DP party time.
Isn't every
in multiple ways
having that on my calendar, because all my calendar ever says on our Sundays is DP 3:30.
Nice.
Well, even if we don't do shows for a while, we should still have some DP parties.
Can everyone just keep saying DP party, please? It's just giving me life right now.
Ain't no party like a DP party.
But who is bringing?
Hey! Oh, I think it's actually Randall. Steffi, you are our penultimate person, given that I'm the last.
Yeah, so because I struggle quite a lot with verbal communication, and I struggle to sort of process the words that I want to say. It's kind of depressing, but like a lot of my daydreams, I actually sort of daydream about the conversations that I would have and the things that I would say if I could actually get the words out. So most of my sort of daydreaming is literally just verbal situations.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
There's a lot of people nodding with you there, Steffi. Carry on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of proving my point now by trailing off.
Well,
yeah,
Steffi, do you have like, is there like a, like, you know, obviously like your discretion and privacy is ultimate here, but is there like a particular conversation, like that in your wildest dreams, is there like a particular conversation you'd like to have that you've thought about and you've daydreamed about?
I don't know. I know sometimes like I sort of like things that I'm particularly knowledgeable about. I kind of like sort of talk about them in my head, like as if I was trying to explain it to somebody. Things like that, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sort of proving my point now by not really being able to talk about this. So
but what is like, what are the, let's take a moment, like what are the things you're knowledgeable about?
Well, Star Trek, obviously. Languages, history, geography. Yeah, I don't know, stuff. I'm interested in like pretty much everything. So yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
I mean,
a true bard.
Again, for those of you who don't know what happens behind the scenes, Steffi manages to corral us into some form of order every couple of weeks. And she's managed to do that without actually killing anybody so far, which frankly deserves a medal of some sort. Round of applause, Steffi. Really well done. And your knowledge, you've contributed over all of these episodes in various ways, and your creativity has been amazing. So thank you very much. I mean,
we also just real quick, we had some comments about that on the YouTube stream as well, about Steffi's Borg and that kind of thing. So
yeah,
it's definitely been some highlights of the show.
Was it Robbie the robot that she did so well? Was it Robbie?
The robot was amazing.
Satan's Robot, it was actually called.
That was it, yeah.
I mean, this is one of the reasons why like DP is kind of such a lease of life for me, because there's a script and there's words there, and I can actually have fun with that, because I don't need to actually process the words myself, because they're already there for me, and it's kind of a mode of expression for me that's actually easy and comfortable.
And not for nothing, a lot of actors are this way, because otherwise you get people like Jake Gyllenhaal getting on the internet saying that they don't ever take baths. So, you know, a lot of actors struggle with knowing what to say at the right time.
Yeah, and it turns out some actors don't know what not to say either, he said, frowning at the news this week. Anywho, so I'm aphantasic, so I can't actually picture stuff in my brain, so I can't actually imagine physical things. I can describe you a green door, but I can't see the green door in my head. And by the way, I find it very suspicious that you neurotypicals are capable of doing this. Is this actually true?
It's all fake. I don't believe it.
I agree, right? Anyway, so my fantasies tend to be very much like Steffi said, the very pragmatic, what would I say if? and you've had to have run through 300 conversations so that you're prepared for any one conversation, that sort of thing. Yeah, sorry, yeah, Ben raises a very sensible point. What is neurotypical? We don't believe it exists in this group. Anybody who turns up and claims to be neurotypical, we shall look at with a very cynical side stare. I guess some of my fantasies, my delusion is that one day I will be capable, as JP says, of being financially responsible, organized, and being then able to do all the things that Lita's talking about, actually meet people on the other side of the world. That would be pretty awesome. But this has been amazing. This has been a great opportunity for me to talk about Star Trek, be a geek, connect with people around the world. And I can't thank you all enough. I'm talking to the cast at the moment. I can't thank the cast enough for what their work. Can't thank the crew enough. Carl, whose idea this was. You came up with a crazy, stupid idea, and we thought, yeah, let's run with it. And, you know, we've managed 18 months, and this is our 31st episode. I've made some solid friends here, people who laugh at my jokes. Granted, they're tortured, the jokes and the people who laugh at them. The other thing that I'd like to say thank you to is the people who watch this show. Now, I know it's not a huge number of you. There's only a few of you out there at the moment. Maybe that's my delusion, is that we're bigger than we are. But actually, it's been an awesome opportunity to just play around with, as Steffi said, words and do things with them. And it's been great fun. We don't know what's coming next. We're going to take a few months to go away, take a breather, collect ourselves. But in order to close, I would like to hand over to our fearless leader, the captain to our starship, Carlson Lucy.
Yeah, I don't have anything prepared, and I'm moderately tipsy at the moment, so whatever's going to come out is going to come out. But I you know, in light of the fact that we're going on sabbatical, that this is the last show that we're doing for kind of the foreseeable future, I want everyone in DP, whether they're here or watching later, to know that this has been such an incredible gift to me. Like, to get to spend this time with all of you has been life-saving for me. And of course, it's not all about me. But you know, like, I was a kid that grew up with Star Trek. I was a kid that fantasized about a future in which money is not the guiding force of our lives. And you know, certainly in this moment we're in, that continues to be a thing, this quarantine, this pandemic, you know, there's been no greater joy for me than getting to continue to live in that fantasy of a world in which there is no class, there is no money, that people are guided by the idea that they're just personally getting better at the things that they're doing in life. And I'm just so grateful, and I'm really excited to see sort of what comes of the conversations we have off stage, or not off stage, off broadcast, behind the scenes. I'm excited about continuing this community. I'm really excited about just continuing to be friends with you all. I can't tell you what a surprise it's been to sort of have a really stupid idea, as David said, of getting people together to do Tuvix, and then it's turned into a 31 episode run, where we've become very close, and we've decided to meet, and we've done the work of producing these things together. It's been such a gift to me, and I hope that you feel the same way. And as we go through this period of sort of reflecting on everything we've done and everything we would like to do, I would like to invite not only all of you, but everyone who's been in the audience. I would invite you to be part of this conversation about what we would like to do with this incredibly this incredible community that we've developed, these incredible bonds, you know, the really thoughtful conversations we've had, you know, everything from the way that, like, I can't tell you, like, I mean, we talked a little bit earlier about Steffi's contribution in terms of the casting, but like and for those of you who don't, I'm rambling, but just indulge me here. So for those of you who are not, you know, part of our thing, what we decided in the beginning was that we were going to not only do gender blind casting, but that we were going to give everyone a level of preference for every role. So from a scale of, I think is it 1 to 5 still? I've never filled out a casting form. But you know, 1 is I will not play this character, to 5 I would really love to play this character. Every single time we do a show, everyone fills out those things, and Steffi very thoughtfully and carefully goes through that list and tries to fulfill everyone's dreams for how they would like to sort of exist in a Star Trek universe. And I can't tell you how meaningful that is. I can't tell you how grateful I am for Casey for sort of doing everything else. Casey has been, you know, in a moment where I've sort of found myself with the responsibility of guiding this group, but not always like the mental health to sort of to shepherd it in the way I've liked. Casey has really stepped up to make sure that everything happens, even when I forget, and even when I'm not capable. I'm so grateful for that. David has every single time helped us put together graphics that make this look like a real professional production. Max has sort of given us his Cash App so that we all you know, we ask every month that people give $5 to participate, and you know, if people don't feel that that's possible, that's totally fine, but has done a great job of keeping all of our accounts active. You know, has kept me with active internet so that I can continue to do the things I'm doing. And for everyone else who just reads, I you know, it's just the love that you've put into this. I can't tell you how grateful I am for that, and what a fulfillment of my own fantasy this has been. And so to the future, to whatever's next, and to whatever however we want to continue to grow this community, and I'm going to drink to that as well. Thank you for everything.
And with that, thank you very much, Carl. Let's say one last thank you.
Oh, and thank you, David, and thank you, David, and
Angel.
Thank you. I'm drunk. Thank you, Angel and David, for every single week pushing us to you know, guiding the show and to elevating all of the causes that we support. I'm very humbled by the fact that we've actually been able to contribute to causes that do really cool things, and I can't thank you enough for that work.
Yeah. So with that, let's give everybody a final round of applause and a big thank you. And to you, our viewers, we say live long and prosper, and ex Astris Beatitudo. And for the last time, let's cut to the credits.